Kilted
Kilted
balls.
balls. Nice job. Welcome back, people, to another episode of the Kilted Balls podcast. We took last week off. Hopefully, you noticed that we weren't there. As we had talked about the week before, Kilted had a big trip. So nice,
Yes.
Kilted. He had a big trip. I had a big election, so there was lots going on. So Tuesday was just a bad day for us last week. But we are back, and we're here ready to
Yes.
record. So woo! So, all right. Well, let's start with your trip. Talk to us. Tell us about it. Was it amazing? Was it awesome?
Um. Yes, it was awesome, and I believe that I talked about it beforehand, and even the last time we went on that cruise line, I used the N word. I did say never, and so I found in my life whenever I say that word, then things happen. So we're back on it, and I tell you, I don't know if because I was going in with lower expectations, because I was like, we're getting a great deal, we're hanging with some friends. We're gonna be in wonderful weather. We're gonna be in the ocean. It's gonna be like that's really what I was going for. But it was great. I don't know if the company has like over the last year because they were pretty new to the United States. Like the food was different every night, which was one of the things I wasn't really excited about last time. It was different every lunch. I mean, they had the basics, but then you could always get something different, which is super awesome. I didn't eat a lot of ice cream. The kids did, but there was always
Of
someone
course they did.
at the ice cream station where, other cruise lines, like you have access to the ice cream whenever you want. But, sometimes it breaks or it's out, this or that. So I think really you could get ice cream really whenever you wanted, kind of the same amount of time, basically. But yeah, it was great. We actually got to do a little snorkeling. If you remember me talking about, I filled half my luggage with all the snorkel stuff for
Yes.
everybody. The- where I wanted to go, the beach was being worked on, so you weren't allowed to snorkel there. So I just swam around in the swim area. I didn't see anything, but I was happy I brought it, and the kids had fun, and they were able to experience that and have their masks on and breathe through the tube. So that's all a process anyways. It's not like, and I can imagine at that age. I mean, I didn't learn till I was older, but it was difficult to learn like how to breathe through that, not freak out, and especially if water gets in it or anything. But yeah, Mexico was awesome. We one of the stops was Cozumel. I've never been there before, but when we were pulling in, it was like a if well, you've never been on a cruise, but when I picture like back in the day, not that it was that, but early 2000s when I was going on cruises, like you pull up and it's like the city there, where some of the stops we've been doing have been like places like you're not really with the locals. You're like in a special little area, but this
Right.
is like I could see the grocery store, and I was like, I want to go to the grocery store. So we wandered around a little bit in the touristy area, then we wandered off path, which is always for me always a great time. Went to the
Yes.
grocery store and explored a little bit, bought some stuff.
Nice.
I had to figure out my peso calculations.
They didn't take Bitcoin.
They did not that I noticed.
Oh man.
I wouldn't have spent it anyway.
No, probably not. Probably not. That's awesome. And nobody got sick this time, right? Everything was
Yep, nobody
good.
got sick. Everything was awesome. Got off the we decided to carry our bags off the ship this time.
Mhm.
So we got up early. We just set the alarms for early. Like we're gonna get in line early. We're gonna get off the ship and we're just gonna go. And it was awesome. It was probably within the first 100 people off, and it was just like whoop whoop. I mean, we got up to set your alarm first. I forget if it was 6 or 6:30. Anyways,
Yeah.
but we're standing in line when they opened the doors, and we just stood in line for probably 20-25 minutes before the doors open. But it was nice just to be able to walk off, and you're in the front of the line, so customs is just like go go because they're not slowing everybody down. They got to clear everybody out and then get the new group in. But I
Right.
mean, not that we had anything. Gina did get us a bottle, a 3 liter. I should have grabbed it. I didn't think about it. We have a 3 liter bottle of Bacardi, which is just fun. Like
That's
that's
just fun,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
Almost a gallon. That's awesome.
She's like, how can we pass this up? Like, it was like $50.
So, how do you normally get off the ship? So, normally you don't get up early and go stand in line?
So what they want you to do is they give you little numbers to put on your baggage, and you put all your baggage out the night before, and they collect it, and then they put it out. So then when they tell you like a certain time to get off the ship. So we are supposed to get off at I think 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
So like you hang out at the buffet or whatever. They tell you to hang out. You're eating and drinking more and all that, and then like then they tell you to get off the ship, and by then they have all the luggage sorted, and then you can grab your luggage. But I don't know if you remember last time, Jason snuck off with us, and his number was it was only I don't remember exactly. Let's say three more numbers than ours.
Mhm.
So we waited for him, but it took we were there like almost 2 hours, like just waiting, and by then we're just like we gotta bounce. Like he has an hour and a half drive. We had 8 hour drive.
Yeah. So what took
So
them so long with him?
he wasn't supposed to get off the ship. He wasn't supposed to get off the ship till a certain time.
So
And
the
when he
luggage
got off
wasn't
with
there.
us, we could see the luggage. They wouldn't open that area. We could see like his luggage like sitting there, and there was like a whole bunch of people. They were like getting angry and stuff, and the terminal people were just like, nope, like this area doesn't open till we're ready. Blah blah blah. So yeah, it
So
was
it's funny because
overall everything.
you think you're cheating the system, and in reality they're like, haha, joke's on you. So
Mm-hmm.
you got off the boat, but you
Yeah.
can't get your stuff. So you didn't
Yeah.
do that with your luggage, so you could get off anytime you wanted because you had
We're
your
just
luggage.
carrying our luggage. Yep.
Right. So,
We're rolling it.
and even if you wanted to get off a couple hours later, you could have. You would have
Hmm.
just been carrying your luggage, right?
Yeah. I mean, we hit weather and everything, and so it was a little bit slower getting home than we'd hoped, but overall was an amazing trip.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, and probably some good memories for the kiddos, I hope. Right?
Hmm.
Good memories for you guys. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yay.
And so my week went a ton better than yours, although you had talked before, no matter what happened, you were going to be
Yeah, no,
good.
like I felt pretty darn good. I think my wife she wasn't excited, right? Like she didn't want to see me lose the election. So
Yeah.
spoiler alert, people, I lost the election. But like I was not prepared for the work it would take to do the general election. Like I was hoping I would
Hmm.
go into the general election almost uncontested, and
Yeah.
at the end it turned out that it wasn't going to be uncontested for the general, and that would have been a lot of work this fall. And so I'm like, I'm way too busy in the fall. Like I was already starting to worry about that like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and like,
Hmm.
crap, I'm gonna win, and then I'm gonna have a crap ton of stuff to do. I'm like, this is not gonna be good, you know. And so then I didn't, and I was like, phew, like a huge weight off my
Hmm.
chest. And like a whole bunch of
Yeah.
people are like, well, we'll be so excited for you to run next time. And I'm like, end of the day, I wasn't like really excited to do it. So like,
Yeah.
let me rephrase that. I would love to do the gig because I think I would be good fixing everything, right?
Hmm.
But that's my normal
Yes.
Messiah complex, right? So
Yes.
of course I'm going to think I can step in and fix everything, and that would be great. But in reality, do I want to do all of that work and learn a whole new set of stuff? Eh, you know, eh, eh,
Yeah.
like
So, do you know the person who won the other nomination?
yes. Like I don't know him.
Okay.
I've only emailed him a couple times in the
No, no,
past,
not who
but
you're running against on the other side.
yeah, I'm talking about the Dem. Mhm.
Okay, cool.
But only like really briefly, right? Like I know of him.
Yeah.
So, and I think he has a chance if he plays his
Mm-hmm.
cards right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll probably vote for him. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I think there's gonna be a big turnout for this election.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I think so too.
right. I think there's a lot on the docket for it, and like my kiddos are super pumped about this election, right? Like I think
Mm-hmm.
me running taught them a lot. Cal today was talking about how he goes, I'm actually really kind of grumpy that you didn't win. And I'm like, really? Like this was just today. I'm like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
that grumpy about it. And he's like,
Yeah.
he goes, I still am. And I was like, okay. Like,
Well, you'll have to just take the special moments that you guys are hanging out and say,
yeah.
if I won, I wouldn't be here right
Well,
now.
so I told him, I'm not sad because it gives me more time to hang out with you and play with you. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, yeah, that's true. And he's like, but I would have, like he even told people, he's like, yeah, one day I'm going to be county commissioner. Like he's
There you
already kind of
go.
like thinking that way. And so I think,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't happen unless you're doing this stuff, right?
Yes.
So like I think because my kids are seeing me take leadership roles, then it's just natural for them to step into a leadership role, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing
Mm-hmm.
happened to me, right? Like my parents were in leadership roles, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just thought that was what you did, was go
Yeah.
into leadership roles, right? So, but it did feel like not great to not win because
Mm-hmm.
like there are things that mattered more to me that I've lost, like wrestling competitions or stuff like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about elections, and it's hard to remember the last time I've lost an election. So I've run for lots of
Uh,
elections,
sometimes people make you.
so, right? Sometimes people make me. So I'm like, this is weird. Like, it's a weird feeling not winning. But on the other hand, I was
Yeah.
just like, eh. Like I didn't like. Again, I wasn't like that, like tore up about it. Like I had told people before, it really was a win-win for me. Like
Yes.
either I
Yes.
won the election and I would have to win the general and then I could clean up the mess, which helps everybody's
Mm-hmm.
standard of living, including my own. So that would be
Yep.
good. But if I lose, then I don't have to do all that work. And the upside is if the other guy in the general election wins, then somebody's still going in and cleaning up the mess, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
me. So it's
Yeah.
like my wife said, she goes, it's like having a neighbor with a pool. Like, she's like, this is what this is
You
going to
missed
be
that.
like.
You missed that,
I
don't you?
miss that. I miss that. So she's like, we just got to make sure that person gets elected. And I'm like, right, as long as that person
Mm-hmm.
gets elected, we should be good, should be happy. So
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how many listeners we have in the Kalamazoo area, but we do have a friend of the show who did make it through.
yes,
So that's super exciting. I'd love to get her on, especially since the podcast has changed. I wonder if she'd be open to that.
yeah, we could probably talk to her and say, hey, can we get you on?
Hmm.
Maybe she would think it's crazy. It's not like we have a huge following, but
Hmm.
you never know, right? Like every day we get more people, right?
Yep.
Helping Women period brought more people. So,
Hmm.
maybe she
Yeah.
gets on and she can tell us about her issues and,
Yep.
we can kind of like get those sound bites out. Now, she may not want to, right? She
She
kind
might
of,
not want to.
she's kind of, what's the word? Heidi, I wanted to say hoity toity, but that's not the word. Like, you know what I mean? So she might be like,
We love her.
she's
We
like,
love
I'm
her.
above this. I'm above your
Her
shenanigans.
people listen to a couple episodes and they're like,
They're like,
oh.
don't go there. Don't go there. You know, so,
But yeah, I mean, super awesome.
heck
Super
yeah.
awesome.
Well, and one of my
Okay.
daughters lives in that area. And so
Mm-hmm.
she's having to make the decision now, like,
Oh.
do I register to vote there so I can vote for our friend?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I stay up here? And like, which one matters to me more? Like, do the political issues in my hometown matter more to me? Or do the political issues matter more to me where I'm going to be staying the next 3 years?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a tough call. I'm like, it's where do you want a voice?
Yeah.
So choose your spot, and let your voice be heard there.
That's an interesting spot to be in. I mean, I mean, I would drive back home. I always voted for, when I was in Michigan, I don't think I changed where I voted until I moved to Florida.
Yeah,
So wherever I was, I just drove back, but I wasn't that involved.
right, right. Well, and nowadays it's super easy because like
Mm-hmm.
Michigan's changed all of their rules, so it's easy to get absentee ballots. It's easy to vote
Yep.
early. So like we
Mm-hmm.
vote the week before the election, like all week long you can go vote.
Yeah, that's
So
cool. We do
yeah,
that here too. You
and
can
you got
just
the
go in and
absentee. So, but my kiddos are like super excited about this election, and that's good. Like
mm-hmm.
not, let me rephrase that. Not excited, I think, in the way people think. Like it's not like they're like I hate this candidate or I hate that candidate, which
Good.
maybe they do, right?
Your
Like
family lives in love.
we tend to be that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Though when we were campaigning, um, my youngest, right, my campaign manager, the 7-year-old, was like, I really don't like this candidate. I'm like, how would you know anything about this candidate? Well, my older sister doesn't like that candidate. She says, they're bad. And I'm like, well, you've got to make your own choices, right? Like
Mhm.
you're 7,
Mhm.
but it's probably too early to define people as bad or not, right? Like that's not
Yes.
necessarily what we do. And but like one of my kiddos was just like they were so excited about having a person in there who was a teacher. They're like they're
Mhm.
like we see their students like on like our Instagram and on our socials talking about how great of a coach they
Mhm.
were and how great of a person they were and how they helped them in school, and they're like it's so real, like it makes them a real
Yeah.
person, and they're like I'm so
Mhm.
excited about that, like that is like the coolest thing that this is a real person. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what, you're right, like there have been candidates that I voted for before because I felt they made me feel like they were real, that they were humans. And
Mhm.
a lot of our candidates now don't feel real to me, right? Like that happens a lot where I'm like, are you
Mhm.
real? I'm 99% sure everything you're doing is a facade. Like I don't think that's the real you, right? Like I want to know what's real. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they'll but I think they also understand there's a lot elections. We talk about this in my house. Like we don't talk about candidates or political parties very often.
Mhm.
We try to refrain and let our kiddos make their own choices. But we talk about a lot that elections have consequences, right?
Yeah.
Positive or negative. And so you got to pay attention and you got to make sure that the consequences you want are what you want, right?
Mhm.
Make your
Yep.
make your choices. Though I did hear a really funny thing. Um, I don't know if I'm going to remember it. We were talking about it last Thursday. I was laughing about this. It was somebody who was anti-Trump, and
Mhm.
they were like, I don't argue with my friends or my people who are like for Trump. So they're like, I'm anti-Trump.
Mhm.
They're for Trump. But the only thing I say to them is, um, it's just cool that you have found a candidate who's just like you. They're like, and I think that's important for you that you found somebody that you relate to that's just like you and that you feel that connection with. And they're like, I think that's really big and important.
Mhm.
They're like,
That's hilarious.
that tends to really confuse them. And I'm like, I bet that does. I bet that
Mhm.
makes it hard, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure if I said that to like my mom, she'd be bitter, right? She'd be like,
Mhm.
I am
Yeah.
not like that. And I'd be like, oh, I thought that's why, because you're like, you emulate them. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
so
like that's
cool.
the person you want to run everything. I
Right.
mean, like you've said before though, how much do they have? How much like do they really affect us? But and we're getting a little political here,
Yeah.
which we don't tend to do, but just to like to me, when someone comes in and you can put a bunch of, say, like the Supreme Court justices,
Mhm.
when you can put a bunch of people in at once, then they can go through and change things that affects everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
So kind of they do have that power
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Everyone's.
affect us, maybe not on the roads or our everyday lives, but uh, further down the road, the snowball effect or the butterfly effect,
Oh
whatever you
yeah.
want to call it, definitely has consequences on our lives.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Like
Hmm.
people can definitely have that. They have a lot of power for that. If right, like it's an if. A lot of
Yeah.
circumstances have to happen, but if they
Hmm.
happen, things can get really
Hmm.
jacked up. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of kind of fun. Kind of fun.
Well, talking about journeys,
Yeah.
um, I am. I guess I didn't count exactly. I just knew it was w- right around a certain time. But I think right now I have fasted for the longest I've ever fasted.
So where are you at right now?
I
3 days?
a little bit past 3 days. Yep, I've hit like right around that 3 day mark before. So
Okay.
I know I was done eating by 8 o'clock on Saturday for sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what time it was.
So
So yeah, I
no
haven't eaten
Sunday,
since
no
Saturday
Monday,
night.
and now it's Tuesday. So 3, and we're going on. How
Yep.
are you feeling?
I feel great. I mean, really, it's I have my fizzy water. I have, obviously still water. I drink a ton of,
Mhm.
and then just my black coffee.
Nice.
and I'm shooting for Saturday, because Saturday is bourbons and bros,
Oh, nice,
which we have
nice.
to talk about. Are you coming? Are you coming down? Am I going to see you on Friday?
I totally forgot about it, but I don't think so because it's the ox roast.
Oh yeah,
So,
that makes you get out of it.
yeah,
But
it's the
yeah,
ox
so
roast.
like I'm kind of preparing for that, not sure how I should do it because we're going to the super yummy sandwich place
Yes.
after disc golf,
Hmm.
and then then it's just hanging out and playing games the whole rest of the night.
Yeah, that's
So
gonna be
I was
awesome.
planning on going till Saturday.
That is like super cool. And if you can make it that long, that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I think it's like I watched that Chris Hemsworth when he did the long fast, and it's right
Mm-hmm.
around like what 3 or 4 days where it starts to like mess with you a little bit, and then you feel good, right?
Yeah.
So so this will be an important 24 hours for you.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I've had some challenges. Well, for one, driving home.
Hmm.
So I like the whole way home. Like me driving and eating is just like in my mind it has, and even gummy bear, like it's gummy
Yes.
bears, and I've tried to get away from that, like not the candy as much. I don't drive as much, but trying to do more like nuts and things like that. But yeah, I drove all the way home with just coffee and water, and then stopping for the family. That's the hard part where I use as an excuse, like if I try to even intermittent fast, like, oh, I'm cooking breakfast for the boys, why would I not eat some sausage and pancakes?
Right. Right.
Or making dinner and just like snacking on stuff. But tomorrow I will be making dinner, so that'll be a test for sure. I don't know what I'm making yet, but Gina made dinner yesterday, and today we just got something. But yeah, and been in like some good places that I like to eat. Like Gina had lunch in Chicken Salad Chick. I don't think you guys have those up there.
No.
They're super good. They have all sorts of chicken salads. They're amazing.
That sounds
But
good.
yeah, like being in there, like seeing it and smelling it, and we've been to Chick-fil-A a couple times and Panera. We had Panera for breakfast right after getting off the boat when I'd already decided like I'm gonna be done, and I was like looking at the new breakfast sandwiches, but I didn't. I was like, nope, nope. I
Nope.
want to, because after our trip we talked about it, like that
Yes.
was, so I wanted to do a week, but I thought that this weekend was that weekend, and I was like, oh, I can't do it then, and blah blah blah. So I think I'm just committed, and I've been writing the group, the hiking group, and you know,
Yeah, I think
Miles said
that'll be amazing.
he'd be my buddy to help cheer me on, and Jason is as well. So he's on his he finished eating a little bit later than me on Saturday, but go Jason, like
Nice. So
he's
he's
been.
he's made it a few days then too, 3 days ish by the
Yep.
end of tonight. Nice. You
Yep.
guys are awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I have I don't think I have any intentions of doing that. You never know. But
It's not part of your journey.
it's not right now, it is not part of my journey, right? Like I told Miles, he was like, it's really good. I'm like, I've done my fasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and I still
Yep.
fast a lot for like during Lent and stuff. I go, fasts still happen. I go,
Mm-hmm.
but I go, maybe that'll happen sometime. I go, but I don't think it will. I
Mm-hmm.
go, but maybe. Like sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I want to try that. But other times I'm like, no. Like today I was like making food for dinner and stuff, and I was like, I could be Jer right now and fasting, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm gonna eat this ice cream. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, it was funny because I was talking to Jason earlier today in Apollo, and I was talking about Bodega, the sandwich place,
Yeah.
or actually it's in Bodega. I don't even remember what it's called, but anyways, um, and I think I was. If I go back and listen to it, I may have been overly excited talking about the sandwich I'm going to have on Saturday.
I try to tell people, and they don't understand it. And my girls do now that they've wrestled for a while. Like they
Hmm.
started getting it, but I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, wrestlers have like kind of an unhealthy relationship with food. And they're like, oh, because you guys don't eat a lot and stuff. I'm like, it's not just that we don't eat, but we start worshiping it. Like we start doing that. We
Hmm.
get excited about it, and we are really used to delayed gratification.
Hmm.
So, we'll visualize what we're going to eat a week out and we'll be all excited about it. I go, and when you do that, food turns from being food to being holy, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it gains value that it doesn't really have, right? Like I
Hmm.
remember there were kids in school who they would do something like mess like with my fries, and they would get the crap kicked out of them. They'd be like,
Hmm.
people would be like, it was seriously just a fry, and I'm like, you don't understand. It's
Yeah.
not just a fry.
I
Like
can see
it's
that. I can definitely see that because it's gonna be because they always have specials. It's gonna be one of the specials, so I don't even know what sandwich is gonna be. But
yeah,
I had already decided like I'm not gonna get chips. I'm not gonna like eat a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm because I love sandwiches. Like
yeah.
when I come up to Michigan, I always have to stop at the Jersey Giants
Hmm.
and Jersey Mike's is really good. It's really close, but it's just not the same. And
Right.
and just like
But
even when I was a
Subway's the
kid,
best,
like
right?
oh yeah, Subway, the brown meat, but
I think they've
um,
changed now,
just one of
honestly.
those.
They
Oh
did like a
really?
whole rebrand up here. I don't know if they did it down there. They did a whole rebrand
I'm
up
sure
here.
they.
So
Yeah, if I'm out
everything
and
matches
about, I'm
Jersey
going to
Giants now.
Publix.
Like so like
Okay,
their menu choices like look like Jersey Giants now.
okay,
They don't say like, "Oh, what kind of sandwich do you want?" Like it's like, "Do you want a number 1, a number 2?" And it's
yeah.
like it looks more like a Jersey Giants than it does a Subway.
Well, I don't know if they changed like their bread. Actually, just today we were talking about it because they were talking about $5 pizzas.
That's what
And
I was
oh,
gonna
did
tell
I
you to
say?
get tomorrow. Like you said, "Oh, I gotta cook dinner tomorrow." I was like, "Just go get some $5 pizzas for those
Uh,
kiddos."
they're seven. They're almost $8. But it. I can't remember if I said this. It does feel good buying the rest that they have. There was no line, and I was going to buy 4 pizzas a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, and I went in and they only had four. And then like a couple people were walking in after me. I
I tell
was
you,
like, "This is how Brian feels."
that's a good feeling, right? That's it's those little things that feel really good. And people,
Uh huh.
listeners, if you ever get the chance, like if you're like ordering a couple pizzas and you see they only have four, yeah, buy that shit out. You'll feel good. Trust me, it'll be a good feeling. You'll get
And
a
you can
warm
freeze it or
feeling right
whatever.
here.
Exactly.
And
But
yeah, just freeze that shit. You don't have to eat it, but
mm-hmm.
there's a good feeling buying the last one of something. Just
Mm-hmm.
saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but Jason
Which,
had
by
said
the way,
that.
I don't know if you ever did that, but honestly, people, that's like a thing. And one of our listeners, Stacy, can attest to this. When we used to sell licorice like in bulk, we would
Oh yeah.
super often, especially at the end of a show, we
Mm-hmm.
would not put out full boxes. We would put like 3 to 5 in the box, and people would be like, "Ooh, I want to get that last one. Can I just get those 5?" And we'll be like, "Sure." And you should probably get one more to get the deal. And they'd be like, "All right." And so we'd get another one, and they'd walk away, and I'd grab 5 more and put it in the box. And people would
Uh-huh.
always be like, "Ooh, we want that flavor. That's obviously the best one. It's almost gone." And I'm like, "Okay." Like that's when like
Yeah.
one time somebody was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get that," and they were talking about like rainbow. They're like, "Ooh, we're gonna get that. It's like the last one." I'm like, "I've got like 5 cases." They're like, "But it's got to be the most popular." I'm like, "It is. That's why I've got 5 cases." I'm like, "And I'll go through those 5." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh." And then I'm like, "You should just buy a whole box." And I've
Mm-hmm.
sold boxes that way. So,
Yeah.
you know, one of my
Looking back
daughters.
now, like I'd buy a box of the sour lychee if I
Oh my
if I was
gosh.
wandering around and I saw somebody.
My
That
daughter today
reminds me,
was
I
like,
have lychee.
they were like, I miss the old licorice so much. I was like, really? And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. They're like, she was like, I would do a lot of things to get some of that again. I'm like, it's just money. I'm like, we'd probably have to
Yeah.
order like, 15 tons, but we
Mm-hmm.
could
Just
get
get
it.
it.
Like, it's the thing. She goes, but they changed the formula. I'm like, no. They told us they changed the formula. I'm like, they'll
Mm-hmm.
make whatever you want them to make. So if I called them and
Yeah.
said I want the sweet and sour recipe from 2014, that's what they would make me. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. But did you ever do that with sheets? Like, oh, that's the last one of that color. I better buy it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing.
Same idea. Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you, people, buy them out. You'll feel good about it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Yep, every time.
And it's
Every
good. It's decent. I mean, really, it's decent. And
time.
I don't know what they did to. They had to have changed something from when we were kids, or maybe I have less expectations.
Yeah.
because so for me and pizza, this is well, I guess we're talking about food.
Yeah.
The best pizza that like overall that I can remember having, besides like you go into an awesome Chicago style, like don't get me wrong, you go to get a Chicago style deep dish, it's the best pizza. But like as far as like any chains or even mom and pop places, we were lucky growing up. We had some awesome mom and pop places
Yes.
in Fowlerville, Michigan.
Right. For sure. Well, and we had twofers,
So
right? So.
Twofers was amazing. Fat Boys was amazing, and there was a couple others that like kind of switched through and like were in and out, but it was always so good.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
And but yeah.
I think Hot and Ready's, honestly, I was thinking this the other day. I think Hot and Ready's are cheaper than what pizzas, even now, like here they're $7. But even now, I still think they're cheaper than they were when I was growing up. I think you still drop like 10, $15 on a pizza and they gave you like two of them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was like about the same price.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to explain that to somebody recently because they were like talking about inflation and they're like, this is just so bad and I don't understand like how it like they're doing this and it's like the food and the money. I'm like, whoa. I go, the problem is I go, people don't understand how inflation is calculated. I'm like, you're right, the grocery store is a lot more, but your gas hasn't changed and the computers have all gotten cheaper.
Oh, I had one guy tell me just a couple weeks ago that gas has risen 3x because he can't drive his truck anymore. He can't drive his diesel truck because gas is 3 times. I'm like, okay,
Math is
just
hard.
smiled. Yeah,
Math is
nice
hard.
guy. Yeah,
Gas
what just
hasn't been a
happened?
dollar for a long time. So I paid
Yeah.
$3, I think yesterday. It was maybe like 3.10 for gas for my
Mm-hmm.
truck. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's 3x, that means it was a dollar.
Mm-hmm. For diesel.
Yeah. So he's doing diesel. Like, guy, you just don't know what you're talking about, right? So
He seemed like a nice guy. He owns the property next to us here.
it wasn't that long ago that gas was hitting almost 5 because I was cheering. Remember, I was like, the closer they get to 5,
Mm-hmm.
the sooner they'll get electric cars, right?
Yes.
And they never
Mm-hmm.
actually got to that point. So
Diesel did. Diesel did for
oh
sure.
yes, for sure.
Diesel was 5 when I bought my first diesel. I was
Yes,
like,
yes.
yes, darn it, I'm driving across the country. It's
Which is why people
$5
started
a
using vegetable oil, right?
Uh-huh.
You could do that in a diesel. So
You just pour whatever you want in there.
heck yeah, anything. That's why they are the way they are. But yeah, that's something that yeah,
Yeah.
people are jaded. Somebody showed me something like that earlier. They're like, look how much food prices have gone up, and I'm like, yeah, like sure. I go.
Food.
You could also find food prices that were more expensive, whatever it was 10
Yes.
years ago. I'm like,
Exactly.
you're choosing which data to use right now. So
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah. Like bacon is definitely more bacon and sausage because that's stuff I eat.
Hmm.
But, you know, other things are less.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and who's making the profit? That's what I'm always like. I'm like, people are making profit hand over fist right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. It's probably not inflation doing it. It's people making money while they can make money,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So, which is how capitalism works. So don't be sad
Yep.
about
And I actually lowered the prices on my sheets to pre-pandemic level
it. Wow,
just
nice.
recently.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. Some things.
Mm-hmm.
I just bought a new computer, folks. So the what we are on right now is brand new, pretty like it's not like the best of the best, but it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
dang good, right? Like I don't need to shortchange myself. I got exactly
Yeah.
what I wanted. So I decided
Mm-hmm.
before I shopped what I wanted, and I got exactly
You
what.
researched for a while.
Yeah, for like 6 months. So like I purposely was getting it, and for those of you who know me, price wasn't a thing. Like I didn't care how much it cost. I cared about what I wanted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I got what I wanted, whatever the cost was. And my wife told me the other day that the computer that I just got rid of, which was like 10 or so years old, like I limped it along for a long time. She said that I paid 2 grand for that when I got it. She goes, "Oh, I found the
Inflation.
receipt for that. It was like 2 grand." I was like, "Oh." I'm like, "Well, I just spent 1750 on the brand new super liquid cooled
Best
one."
and brightest. Yeah.
So I'm like, so like
You
things like
got.
that, right? Like computers are
Mhm.
not way more expensive. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you're right, your Cheez-Its might be.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly.
but that's why, like, it balances out. And so, yeah, there's inflation, but some of it's real and some of it's not. So
Yeah.
there's some things you feel more and some you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's what's real.
And if you bought a car when the car dealerships were tacking 10 grand on top of the MSRP, you're feeling that.
Yes, yes. Where you can go now and it's not as bad all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
right? Amy got a call from them like recently, like, "Hey, we just really want you to buy a car. Like, we'll give you like 5 grand on top of what we'll normally give you for like your Jeep or for your Pacifica." She's like,
Mm-hmm.
"No." She goes, "I'm still good." like,
Yeah.
like I don't want a car, so thanks. But yeah, so that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna be exciting. People are really getting into things and getting invested, and I like that. I like passion, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes it fun. So, you know,
Yep. I'm super looking. I'm glad school started here,
yes, yes.
and I am really looking forward to having those few hours in the day to just be able to work on stuff. I have some artistic things I want to do. I have some business stuff I want to do. Just a lot of different things that I want to do. I want to write a little bit more, and I'm excited to utilize that time where it's just adults around to be able to do some of that
Does
because
your
I'm not as
littlest
strict.
go full day or half day?
Full
Full.
day.
Yeah, they're all full day up here too. So, yeah, that'll be nice. Like you'll have time now to kind of do stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll make a difference.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which I'm excited for you to start writing too.
I know. I thought, oh, like I said, I thought you released another book while I was gone. I was like, you're
Didn't
keeping
I?
secrets?
Didn't I share one with you so that you could like edit it? I shared it with Amy.
Uh-uh.
Oh,
No, you
I
didn't.
need it to be proofread and edited because now I don't want to surprise people. So,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
send
I
me.
do have another one ready to go.
Man,
So not
I
really.
have
Like
some
I've got to do.
ideas.
It's probably 75%. I've got to get it like into its correct format, but it's all written, I think. So yeah.
Yeah,
So be ready for
that's
that, listeners.
awesome.
This one's going to be a bestseller. So this one's the money maker. The other one was just for fun, and the next one will be just for fun. But this one is gonna this one's gonna make Kilted some money because the Bitcoin miners are shut off. So
Yeah.
so Kilted needs an
We gotta
income
do
stream.
something. We got. Mm-hmm.
That's the way. All right. Well, people, it's getting near that time. We're so glad you came back and listened to us talk about our
Mm-hmm.
vacation and our elections. And hopefully you guys are having a great week. Uh, for me, practices have started again, and I love seeing people come
Yeah.
out and do the thing, right? Like I always talk about, just do the
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I was thinking about that the last 2 days. I'm like, look at these people. They're full of anxiety. They're nervous about starting something new, but they're out here doing a thing. And I love that. So
That's awesome.
get out there, do the thing, add to your plot. Plot being your story, not your graveyard, right? So
Mm-hmm.
focus on
Oh
the
yeah.
story plot, not your graveyard plot, right? Like live your freaking life. But anyway, this is Ball Buster. We'll talk to you later.
Kill the Dragon Jerry. Love you all.